What's up, guys? To make it to where you don't move when you move left and right like this whenever you're on the rope, what you'll want to do is connect the output of a node into a keyframe, this node right here that I'll talk about in the tutorial, and have this keyframe turn off the puppet interface. The reason this keyframe needs to turn off this puppet interface is because it's responsible for making your character move left and right whenever you press it on the analog stick. The reason why is because the walk is plugged into it by the control sensor's left stick, and that's what makes you move. With the speed settings in your blank puppet menu, which you would press L1 and square on your puppet, or you may have to it'd be L1 and it'd be L1 and square. You might have to press L1 and X a few times, then L1 and square in order to get this to open up. You can also make it to where this keyframe just turns down the run speed, walk speed. You probably want to make it to where it turns down the turn and the acceleration. Maybe turn up the deceleration if you wanted to, and you can mess around with the settings if you don't want it to turn off by puppet interface. That being said, these keyframes right here also are the animations for our character. So whenever I talk about these two keyframes right here, these are the animations for when we move left and right. That's what this logic is right here. So that should be everything for the initial beginning parts of this tutorial. Let me talk about what we're going to talk about next week, which is the singing tutorial. So next week, you guys will learn how to do stuff like this.
And I never said that I was enough. And I wish we were in touch, but wishes aren't enough. I know this much.
What is up, what is up, what is up? If this looks clean, do not forget to subscribe, follow me in Dreams. I'm Untitled YouTube in Dreams. Hit the bell, guys, for more tutorials. Just click my channel name, and then from there you can scroll down on my channel, or you can go to the channel playlist to look up the specific channel playlist for animation tutorials, lots of tutorials, music tutorials, sculpture tutorials, and more, even how to make games, full-fledged tutorials. So follow me in Dreams. I'm Young Text YouTube in Dreams, Young Text on YouTube, and Young Text on Twitch. Hit the bell, subscribe, follow, all those great things. So this is a lot harder to do for a 2D game, a lot easier to do for a regular platformer. And just so you guys know, as you guys can see, everything's staying balanced, and I'll show you guys how to do this. This is actually really easy, and I believe in the future they'll make something with calculators, and maybe with the splitter and combiner you can like use trigonometry, algebra in order to easily get from point A to point B while kind of you know, doing this kind of thing. It can like tell where to go through numbers and stuff like that, if that makes sense. So I believe that's what that's for, and let's go ahead and jump into it. So the thing that you are following on the rope is this rope tag right here. What I typically do is I press L1 and X a few times on the part of the rope that I want to have the tag. So I probably pressed L1 and X at least 3 to 4 times on one part of the whole entire rope to where I could select an individual piece like this. Then once I was able to do that, I may have had to press it one last time, and then whenever it's just making it to where I can only hover above one piece like this, and that one piece the only thing being outlined throughout the whole thing, or even a couple of them, that's fine if it's just a couple, but you want to make it to where you're on the last scope in before you enter into sculpture mode. Then what you want to do is lay down a tag. Name that tag rope or whatever you want to name it. After that, you might have to click on the tag and then the thing and then group it together with the plus option up here. After that, and again, you might not have to do that. It might have instantly done that for you since you scoped in enough. After that, and after you name the tag, what you'll want to do then is have this open, have it stayed open with the name. That way you can change the axis, and I'll explain what axes are also. Changing the axis is how we're going to make it look so smooth, like we're grabbing onto the rope. And I'll also had to lower this dot down a little bit in order for it to where the hand will attach to the end of the rope instead of being all the way up here, if that makes sense. So I just lowered the dot a little bit, but I also had to move the axis. So what I mean by that, usually the axis will look like this, the one that I have on the control sensor, but I had to move it a little bit to make it match with the teleporter, which is what we're using to teleport to the rope. So this is the position of the rope, in other words, the dot. This is what's keeping us balanced while we're going back and forth. Check out my how to make items tutorials if you want to learn how to make items with teleporters instead of scoping in all the time. So that's actually really easy compared to this. This is pretty easy, but I believe it will get easier in the future with calculators and algebra and stuff. So just copy my settings right here if you need to. This is what it'll look like. The Z will be right here for your character. The Y will be right here. And the X will be at the bottom. And the one for the rope is Z this way, Y this way, and X that way. And as you can see, it's pretty balanced on every side. So what are these axes actually? So this is why it's harder to do this with a 2D game. Because with a 2D game, you're moving on one axis, which means everything has to be aligned. Otherwise, whenever you jump off the rope, you might go this way while all your enemies are still on this one axis. To combat this, I use a follower, and I attach this follower to the end of the rope and the beginning of the rope. So what do I mean? As you can see, the follower is connected to that and the beginning, and it's also connected to the character. So in order to make a 2D game like this, I have it also connected to the character with these settings as followed. You'll connect it with this stuff right here. Make sure you copy everything exactly. Usually whenever I'm making 2D games, it'll be following on the x-axis, but for some reason for this one, it's following on this axis, the z-axis, which is this line right here. I believe the x-axis is this line right here, going this way. And y is jumping up and down. So turn down the dampening if you're flying, and you'll want to turn down the dampening for other things if you want to get rid of that kind of thing. Make sure the speed's turned up all the way, strength up all the way, and the dampening up here, right here all the way. Go to your character, press L1 and square. You may have to press L1 and X, then L1 and square, and repeat the process a few times in order to open this up. Make sure this is turned up all the way. Copy my settings exactly. Well, you don't have to copy them exactly, but you know. Turn down the motion controls, turn down anticipated turn up all the way. I also have off auto look. Next, make sure your rope isn't collidable with whatever label your character is. So this collides with nothing except for unlabeled, and since my character is labeled, at least it should be. I guess it is colliding with it, but you don't want it to collide with it, if that makes sense. So like if your character's like clipping through the rope, just change the collision settings. Change the collision settings if that kind of thing is happening, to where it's not colliding with it. So the teleporter. You teleport to this dot right here, your rope tag, if you press square. Square will send a signal to this node on the import, which will pass through to the outport. And then once that signal reaches the rope, you teleport towards the rope. But there is a trigger zone. The trigger zone is detecting the rope tag. So if you are in range of the rope tag, just lower the rope tag if you want to make it to where you have to jump in order to get to the rope, if that makes sense. If you want to make it to where you have to jump before you're teleported to the rope, just lower this right here. That'll make it to where you have to jump first. Set it to tag, set it to whatever name this is. Then you might want to change this to this if you can, but since it's on tag you most likely won't. But if you're using labels, then you will have to do that, most likely. So if it is detecting the rope tag, it'll send a signal to power this on. If this is powered on while you're pressing square, it'll pass through the signal to power on the rope tag. And then as long as you're holding on to square, you will be grabbed onto the rope and swinging left and right because this is turned on, and then in the proper position because this is on. Next, pull out a splitter, 2 splitters, 2 calculators, 1 greater than, 1 less than. Plug the X of 1 into the A of one of the calculators and the X of the other splitter into the A of the other calculator. The input for the splitter, for both splitters, is the left stick from your control sensor. The left stick should also be plugged into the walk of the puppet interface. That'll make it to where you walk with the animations pre-built by Media Molecule. The result, plug this into the A of an AND gate, and then for the other calculator, another A of the AND gate. Then match target position, plug that into B of both of these. The result of the AND gates power on a force supplier, but also change the position of the speed. So this one changes it to the negatives, which means if the arrow is pointed this way for your force supplier, it makes you go this way. And then the other keyframe, press L1 and X on your keyframe, then just value slide, record. The other keyframe is changing the speed of the positive into the positives to where you go this way. It's also on local, and I have it on pool. If you have the calculator's values mixed up to where whenever you go the other direction, it makes you go this way instead, try making it to where you just switch the, like from this to this, for both of them, just switch them around. Or you can also try changing this to push. I have mine on pull and directional. You might have to change this arrow's direction. It is force applying things with the label target. Our rope is labeled target, and that's why it moves back and forth whenever we go back and forth with our analog stick. I also have this on, both of these on. One thing to remember, if your character is looking in this direction, the opposite direction, then if you move right, it'll actually force apply the rope to go left, if that makes sense. You can mess around with the logic and improve upon it as you please. This should be everything for the rope swing effect. Again, all you have to do is press L1 and X on this, and then value slide the numbers, and that'll record it, and just press that. That's all you have to do that. And again, all you have to do to get the tags in there, just press L1 and X a few times. And then whenever you're just highlighting over mainly just one piece, that's when you'll pull out the tag and lay it down. And then what you'll want to do is press this in the tag, and if you can, press plus to group them together. You may not need to do that, but just in case, that's what I did. I should have explained how this is a 2D game in the beginning. Just have this out here, and then connect affected objects to everything that you need to. Remember this, you might not need to have it at 30, but you might be able to turn it up also. And you can mess around with turning this on also if you have this matched up on the right axes. This is what's fixing our axes, the follower. And our camera is actually the control sensor camera right here. So you can copy my settings right here if you want to, or mess around with it, stay on screen. And then I also pulled out a camera pointer, and that's what's pointing the camera in the direction that we want as follows. If you want to look up my how to make weapons tutorials out of teleporters, feel free to. And this is also how you can make parkour and ledge grabbing in Dreams PS4. In Dreams PS4. The reason why we use match target position into the B of the AND gate is that way whenever this is powered on, it'll send a signal instantly to these two things. It's just an easy way for me to do it, but you can do it a different way if you want to. You just have to make it to where the game recognizes that you are on the rope and this is powered on in order for this stuff to turn on. These two things right here that mess with the force applier. You'll want your force applier initially turned off. You'll want these things turning on the force applier. That way it's not turned on all the time. And this logic right here is for my triple jump tutorial that I'm going to be having out soon. And this right here is for my how to make items tutorial, which I have out already with teleporters. Make them quickly. So you can look that up also. There's videos up here. Feel free to click those. Those are my tutorials. And if it said I was streaming over here, feel free to come into the stream. Subscribe, hit the bell, click my channel name, then scroll down or click my channel name and go to the playlist section for specific playlists on animation, sculpting, sculpting logic, and how to make games. Just a playlist of all sorts of things that'll get you guys mastering this stuff extremely quickly. And our follower is following the C tag right here. And this is what's making it a 2D game. As well as the camera pointer, the control sensors camera, and the fact that we have this turned up all the way, the speed of our walk and stuff. This also increases the speed of the walk. And I have this turned off. Motion controls turned down. And the anticipated turn turned up all the way. While you're on the rope, you can also make it to where there's a keyframe that increases your springiness, which is a ragdoll effect for some cool effects. You can also do this for your animations, this kind of thing. I would just plug this into there. And you can mess around with that as you please. Alright guys, peace out. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.